Alright, here we go. I think that's recording. It's got a big shiny light on it for some reason. I guess that's just on the television. Alright. The second radio stack. First of all, it's a second and separate entity altogether, and the ADF radio and the ident radio are a separate entity too. We're just going to put two ADFs and a squawk on the one. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to start xplane there. Where's she gone? Are we? Let's start xplane up. And I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. Now, I don't know whether this will work in front of this camera, but here's the schematics. Can you even see that? There we go. That's what the radio is going to look like with the squawk and the two boxes. There are the two ADFs on them. And underneath you can see that's the whole plan for the autopilot. I have most of it planned out pretty well. I have this squawk and the ADF worked out that they're getting built on a mega. I'm building them all on a mega bar, your radio stack at the moment. And the reason for that I'm picking the high 20 and the 50 pins to do all that end of it. So if we ever port over from and we want to put the two radio stacks together, they'll fit on one mega. Because all the pins from the squawk and the ADF, all the push buttons will be on the 20 up number. And I think because we don't have 20 up numbers on the Nano, the two of them will fit on that pretty nicely. It also helps with the way that I'm trying to solder stuff together now. I'm trying to put the same units on the same bar that I can keep them. Because they all do plug into the Arduinos. I'm not making it where I'm soldering straight onto the Arduinos. They still have to plug in. I have to make a little shield. Still waiting for this guy to kick off. The ADF radio is an older version of it. It's not like the navigation radios where they can know the direction that they're coming from. This just picks up, I think, a depth. And there's a second one. There's ADF and there's D something as well. D AR or DFC, something like that as well, the second one. My point with this is, if we can figure out a way for you to set up that whatever you put in line 1 as an output will be the output to screen 1. Whatever you put in line 2 would be output to screen 2. Whatever you put line 3, line 4. Some of them, the Chinese LCDs, because they'll only run 2. It turns out it's a voltage thing. They go over 8 volts or something, or they pull 8 volts, them ones, when you put 4 of them together. So they can't, the Arduinos can't supply the power. Whereas the other ones I got, they do string 4 together. Don't ask me why. Let's see if we can get this guy up on the screen. Alright, so we need to find, oh god. The resolution is weird when you jump these things. I physically can't use xplane 10 in the full screen view because it does that, as you can see. I just did it again. You can't close any boxes, you don't get bits and pieces. And if you go into full screen view, the radio, when you come up to contact the ATC, sits so high up here, it keeps causing the menu to kick down when you're in there. It's just something else you're worried about. But like I said, this thing has always been as buggy. We're going to go to aircraft. And I'm going to show you where we're at. You can see how long this takes for it to open and stuff sometimes. Crazy. So I can pick my aircraft here. This is the aircraft I have loaded up. A lot of these are absolutely crap. This is just in the general aviation. So I'm looking for the Dash 7150. We'll go with them colors. I have to minimize this to be able to find the open bin on it. Yeah, so if I get the inputs and outputs, the rotary encoders and the switches and all that I can do, that's easy, and I can bounce them around because, once again, the radio stack was the most complicated thing. It wasn't really the most complicated thing, but it was the most one that we ran into trouble with the encoders. I'm not worried about the encoders not working properly, that we have to tune them or not later. I just want to get them, the programs together, that I know everything is coming in and out. All right, let me do this. Change the time of day. Go in the dark. Go there. All right, I gotta get into the 3D view. And my controller, there you go. So the radio stack on this bad boy. Keyboard would be handy. Not really prepared for any of this. I just jumped on when I seen your email. So this is the radio stack on the Dash 7. Yeah, I've showed you this before. So what we're doing is our panel, obviously one of the panels that we have is, the panel we've made is actually one of these, this one here that sits on top of this one here, because one's comm and nav. And then we're switching this one over to COM 2 and NAV 2. So the second radio is going to be this. It's going to make it, it's going to be an 8 by 8 for the time being too. But I'm taking this ADF1 here and I'm sliding it underneath here. I'm taking the ADF2 and I'm sliding it underneath here. Now, the way I've done these on the pins as well, I've kept them, the pins on the ADFs are all like 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. The reason is for the same bar thing as well. So if I want to separate these from this, I don't have to fool around with the electronics too much. The squawk and all his buttons and his knobs are on 23, 25, 27, 29 on the Mega. If that makes any sense. We're replacing with these rotary encoders. Because as you can see, you can only be, if they ever talk to you, you can only ever be a couple of presses from a button away. So I want to put buttons here. Button, 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 button. So this ADF will have 3 names, 6 buttons. This one will have same thing, 3 names, 6 buttons. This is going to be the same. We're actually going to switch these over for single buttons because they actually do it in a single button system. Because squawks only go up as far as 7. It's only your identifier. You very seldom change this, but it is important because it's the very first thing that identifies you all the time. It's also the thing, if you want to tell them you're hijacked or anything, you go, I think it's 77750, something like that. Tells them you're being hijacked. Different things will tell them that you have different problems. Like if you lose your radio, that tower can still pick up, and they know when you're squawking a number that you've got an issue. So that's basically all that I need is. Now these 2 radios, because I said the ones that will only link in twins, I want to use the 1 Mega, but run one LCD for this one, and then these 2 chains together, as in be LCD1 and LCD2. So actually, I hope you can do that. I never really thought about running multiple LCDs. I presume we'll run multiple sets of LCDs. And that's all that's really involved in that. I don't really know how I can make it any clearer. I gave you the output parts on it now. I haven't looked at your script yet, but I gave you the output parts, and I have the import parts done for this already. The 5 CGF scripts I sent you are, I think, forget the order of them now because I'm going bonkers. I'm doing so much of this stuff. I think, so the second config would be this, which is the autopilot, which I've taken apart once again, and still have the rotary encoders and that working, but it's on its own thing. It has its own CFG files, and it plugs into the xplane and it works. I don't know whether you're seeing any of this anyway. Then we still have, this is the one that's running on the Nano, which is pretty cool because the Nano with this radio stack should be able to run the squawk and the ADFs on the same Mega. It will turn out. And if we ever wanted to make a big radio stack or the size of that radio stack. The light panels on down to the switches are going to be 24 switches because I'm going to put the starters and everything back on them. I've actually moved this around again. It's just because simply that they're just going to be all switches on the panel and all lights, LCDs. On the main control panel, I'm not even going to get into that. Not too sure where I'm going with that, but I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing then I will show you is this baby here. This one I'm going to attach to the light panel or the ADF and the squawk. Now this is the audio on and off, and I had forgotten about this. This is the audio on and off for the navigation and the ADF. It's to tell you whether they beep out the Morse code signal when they pick up when they're in range. So they'll beep you, so you can turn them on and off the same way as COM1 and COM2 can't be on at the same time. Actually, physically, you have to pick who you're listening to. So I'm going to throw that in as well. I've worked that out. I have all the buttons and all the names of all of these buttons and all already done as well. And I'm going to tack that on. I think I'm tacking that on to the light and radio switch panel for the time being. That panel's starting to look like it's getting too big now, so I might have to take the starter switches and throw them back onto the control panel or something. But it's pretty cool. I'm down to hundreds of buttons and switches and lights at this stage. It's completely mad. I don't know how anybody said you can put all of this on one Arduino. Or 1 mega. I guess you could if you were doing matrices and stuff like that. So I hope that explained to you a little more about what I'm doing. And like I said, if you can make up a simple file for me that would just say any output data ref you put in here, because I'm also looking at the data refs and stuff, and I don't know whether they work. You know, like some of the stuff I really don't know. I'm supposed to put a 0, 1 or whatever in it, and I'm just copying other stuff. So I need like a base model that if I put something in there, I know it would show up on screen 1. If I put something in there, it would show up on screen 2. Put something there, it would show up on screen 3. And if you do that pretty much, I can probably goof around with most of the other stuff. The what do you call it panel is getting complicated. It's not really getting complicated. It's just that there's an awful lot of names on the stuff on the autopilot that I don't know. Like they're like nav to OBS 1 to ADF2, and I don't know what the string means, or why one would be talking to the other, or why would one be relative to the other. Now they are all relative. This is the weird thing, right? These ADFs, they actually control these goofy boys here, and I've done them before. I've done an ADF flight. I remember doing an ADF flight, but I can't remember how the settings on that work. But they're just very basic settings. I think this one just beeps or lights up or something when you're in range. This one is like a glide slope, but the modern version of it is one of these that all the planes have. I don't know whether I hope some of this is making sense. But yeah, the autopilot panel is going to have. I think it ends up with 6 LEDs on it. It's pretty extensive. It does everything from full flight control to controlling all of these gauges on the dashboard as well. I figured we might as well throw in all of these. We're only missing a few knobs like this, the barometric pressure, and these are stuff that are called out in and out of every airport that you're going to. So it's not like you don't use these. So I'm going to include them on it. I'm not going to have the barometric pressure, the altitude gauge in that, because everybody who's going to run a simulator is going to have some set of these clusters themselves. Mine, I get it on that other program. It's called. Where is she? Over here for you. You want to get this too. It's pretty cool. It just runs on a second screen if you have a split screen. There you go. As she's starting down there. So you can see it. That throws up all the digital displays. It tells you how much fuel and stuff like that. Now that's a 747 screen, so you're stuck with that screen with that one. But there's multiple applications out there that will do that. You can even with a second computer. I'm trying to set up a second laptop that will do it as well. You can actually export this your main dashboard to a second screen or whatever. So that's going to be whatever. I'm just trying to get finished on this. I figure all of these panels will sell. Not just the radio. I'm just going to start banging them all out one after another. I want to finish building this myself, and I know I'll sell it as a whole unit. And because it will fly the Baron or any of the bigger planes. You just don't have the overhead panels. But I think it's good for the amount of money they're going to be spending in that. It's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully I'll get this CNC machine thing sorted out. I know it seems to be taking forever, but it is what it is at the moment. And that's about it. I'm going to pause this. and send it to you.